Hey guys, I'm going to teach you all about scale factor and dilations. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to use scale factors to create similar figures after dilations. So go ahead and get your binder, turn to the math section, and you're ready to take some notes. We can think of scale factor like a magic potion. So let's say Harold and his friends went to a wizard camp where they took a class on spells and potions. The group tried several potions that would either cause you to grow or shrink based on the scale factor. For example, if you started out at 60 inches and you took a potion that had a scale factor of 1/2, you would do 60 times 1/2 to get your new height of 30 inches. In that case, you would have shrunk. Here's another example with a different potion. If you started out at 64 inches and the potion scale factor was 3, you would do 64 times 3, which is 192 inches. Given that scale factor, did you shrink or did you grow? If you started at 64 inches and ended up 192, you definitely grew. Go ahead and take a minute to fill out the rest of the table with the new starting heights and then the new potion scale factors. Alright, this is what we should have got from the table. If you notice, some of the potions made you grow and they had a certain scale factor. Some of the other potions made you shrink, and they had a different kind of scale factor. To begin with, let's just recap what we did. Then I want you to list the scale factors that caused Harold and his friends to grow and see if you notice anything about those. Then do the same thing for the ones that caused Harold and his friends to shrink. Hopefully you noticed a pattern with those. Last, I want you to decide, what do you think would happen if someone drank a potion with a scale factor of 1? Alright, number 1, the big key. You always multiply by the scale factor every single time. If your scale factor is greater than 1, it will cause your figure to grow. So that's called an enlargement. On the other hand, if the scale factor was less than 1, it would cause Harold and his friends to shrink. That's called a reduction. And finally, if the scale factor was 1, it wouldn't change the shape at all. We can think of scale factor like a magic potion that's going to change the size of a figure. It's always a ratio or a fraction of the corresponding sides of a figure or matching sides of a figure. It's the new over the original or new over old. You might also see this called the image over the pre-image. So help me fill in the blanks. If the scale factor is blank than 1, it will enlarge the figure. So you remember that if it's greater than 1, it will enlarge the figure. On the other hand, if the scale factor is less than 1, it will reduce the figure. Every time that you're looking at a scale factor, you're looking at a dilation. And a dilation is a type of transformation that either enlarges or reduces the size of an original figure. To dilate a figure, you always multiply by the scale factor. Here's an example of a 35 by 15 rectangle with a scale factor of 2/5. You know the scale factor, you always multiply by it. If you had a calculator, you could just type in 35 times 2/5. If you didn't, you would multiply 35 times 2 times 5 and simplify. And the new side length would be 14 inches long. Do the same thing with 15. What is 2/5 of 15? 2/5 of 15 is 6. So the dimensions of your rectangle would be 6 inches by 14 inches. If I was to draw this new rectangle, would this one be bigger or smaller than the rectangle given? The 6 inch by 14 inch rectangle represents a reduction because this was multiplied by a scale factor of 2/5, which is less than 1. You can also see that the number 14 and 6 are less than 35 and 15, which you started with. Go ahead and find the new dimensions of this rectangle all by yourself. Press play when you're ready to check. You should have multiplied 22 by 3.5 and multiplied 10 by 3.5 because scale factor was 3.5. We should get the new dimensions 35 inches by 77 inches for the enlarged rectangle. Now try number 7 by yourself and press play when you're ready to check. You should have multiplied each of the side lengths by 5/3 and got a new rectangle that measures 40 inches by 50 inches. Because this scale factor was greater than 1, this was an enlargement. In some problems, you'll have to work backwards. Sometimes they'll give you the enlarged figure and you'll have to find the scale factor. If you want to find scale factor, it's always a ratio of your new to your old. So let's find some matching side lengths. In this case, I've got 10 and I've got 8. I know that they're matching because they both say HG, and I know that this one is the new because it has the prime symbols. I can write my scale factor as 10/8, which reduces to 5/4, or as a decimal, 1.25. What would have happened if I picked a different set of corresponding sides? For example, G prime to I prime, and then the old G to I. If you had done 15 divided by 12, you would have ended up with the same scale factor of 5/4, or as a decimal, 1.25. So it doesn't matter which side length you pick, as long as they are corresponding or matching from this figure to this figure, always do the new divided by the old, and then you can find your scale factor. Keeping that in mind, I have a few questions for you on number 9. Number 1, find the scale factor. Whether you chose 12 divided by 18 or 8 divided by 12, you should have found the scale factor to be 2/3. Does this represent an enlargement or a reduction? This is definitely a reduction because you can tell even without seeing the 2/3 scale factor that this figure got smaller. Now take a minute and summarize today's lesson in 2 to 3 complete sentences. All right, guys, that's it. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to know, if you went to Wizard Camp, what would you be most excited to study and why? Today we learned about scale factor and dilations. Now you should be able to use scale factors to create similar figures after dilation. Go back to the calendar and complete any other assignments you have left for the day. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye!